Good evening, guys. I hope you're all well and welcome back to the Amateur Footballer channel and welcome back to the Starting 11. Now, today is not our usual Premier League take. It is now the World Cup and we are going to be discussing, as you can see on the background, the England flag, and we are going to be discussing mostly the England game and then maybe a few surprises as well. Today, we are joined by the man himself, Joe. Say hello.
Evening.
And we are joined by Michelle as well. Say hello.
Hello, guys.
Now, I mean, what a way to kick off England. 6-2 against Iran. I wasn't sure how I felt about the game. I'm not massive about England this year. I got my hopes up last World Cup, and after the squad selection that Southgate put out, I'm just not really 100% with it. And then you see that sort of score result, and especially the formation we played. We played a 4-3-3, maybe a 4-2-3-1, which seemed to work really well. Did you two see the game?
Yeah, watched it. Great Monday lunchtime game. I guess the excitement for England wasn't quite there because obviously the run up to the World Cup, they hadn't really been performing. So I think that obviously had another flavour to it. But the scoreline is good, but we have to remember, I no disrespect to Iran, but it is Iran. That's my personal opinion. I think once we get up against like the likes of like USA, Wales, the back line's going to be tested, and I don't think they really were. And actually, to be fair, Iran still scored 2 goals. Let's not ignore that fact as well. I mean,
I'll give them one. They scored one.
Yeah,
One.
Yeah, but the scoreline doesn't lie, right? So ultimately, whether we disagree with VAR or whatever, that's the final scoreline. But I think we will be tested. I don't know. I mean, it was a great start, great for their confidence. I think USA and Wales, I mean, probably after watching those 2 games, maybe, well, I don't know. Either one will be a test, right? But I do worry about the defense.
No, I'm the same as Joe.
Okay.
I mean,
we'll see. But not great. Let's not lie.
Yeah, they were really good. I'd say I'm a little bit opposite to you, Shell. I understand Iran. But when you look at what they've done in qualifying, finishing above South Korea, 25 points out of 10 games, some good teams in their group. I think it's easy to say Iran's a good team. I think in previous World Cups, we've played Costa Rica and teams like that and really struggled. So I actually think Iran will not lose 3 games. Do you know what I actually think will happen? So by our logic of football, we'll have maybe tougher games from Wales and USA, and everyone's going to beat Iran. That's not going to happen. I actually think Iran showed a lot of energy, and that is something Wales massively lack. I think Iran will beat Wales, and I think between USA and Iran, it could be close. I think Iran could possibly still go through. Wales had no legs whatsoever. Bale is finished. I will put it out here. He has quality in a shot, but I think he's finished. But yeah, really positive performance. Yes, it's only Iran, but in my opinion, it's the type of game previously England would have made look a lot difficult. And we'll get to the penalty decision maybe later on. I won't touch on that.
I want to quickly see your opinions on the midfield 3, particular for England. I felt them 3. I know we've seen Bellingham and Rice in the 2 midfield sort of positions, but in that 3, Mount, Bellingham, and Rice all looked phenomenal in that midfield. Rice was maybe that deeper, and I feel the way we were playing our fullbacks, they were more inverted, if you will. Like, so for instance, we'd play the 4 at the back. We'd have Luke Shaw or Trippier push up into the midfield, almost going to a back 3, have Rice and a fullback in the DM, and then we'd sort of have the 2, the 8 and the 10 pushing more forward. And I felt the tactical play that Southgate's currently making, especially in that game, has been a huge change around compared to the boring back 5 that we're used to. What's your sort of thoughts on the midfield? that we played.
Shell?
Do you know what? I agree. And I think for me, like even this, like as much as the starting 11, like in the midfield and in terms of attacking was great. I even think the bench, like even the rotation in terms of like who he brought on as well. Like I was a bit like, actually, I can't remember the last kind of England squad where actually it's interchangeable of like, the likes of Grealish coming on, like Foden as well. Like I think for me that you're right, that midfield attacking option is so strong for England. And actually I think that's our point of difference. Like I know we're going to talk about later in terms of like favourites, etc. But I think obviously my worry is the defence, but our attacking options are so strong and they actually all looked really comfortable, which I don't know why I didn't expect to see it. Even as Iran, I didn't expect to see it so early on. I think obviously being hampered by previous kind of performances, but they all looked comfortable. They all looked like they played together like quite consistently, which obviously they haven't, but that was quite comforting to see. So yeah, no, I agree. I think actually like Southgate has got stick of late, but I think he has definitely made the right choices within the midfield and attacking options.
Yeah, Joe, what's your sort of thoughts on the midfield?
For me, it was nice to see the Bellingham that everyone tells me about. I know he's a good player. I thought he was really composed on the ball. I've not really seen that forward side to him previously in England games. He seems to be more sort of holding as a two, but he sort of, I think because of the opposition and maybe just because of the tactics, he was able to sort of be a little bit more further upfield rather than alongside Declan Rice. And it was nice just because whenever I see him for Dortmund or I've watched a Dortmund game, that seems to be where he plays for them. Not an out-and-out attacker, but he sort of drives forward with the ball and makes forward passes. So really pleased with Bellingham. I mean, if you're going to talk about a midfield, what's really nice is all of our attackers are midfield. Kane was dropping deep. I know some people don't like that, but it is good to link play. Saka's interchangeable. Yes, he's on the wing, but he's not scared of coming through the middle. I felt like the whole team were a midfield in a positive way. The subs come on, like Shell said, really positive. Grealish is a funny one because he is sort of a game changer in a sense of he dribbles the ball and offers a little bit. He can beat players that are right in front of him or win a free kick, and it's quite a particular skill to have, to be honest. I mean, I'm drumming on. It was a good performance. I'd like to see Bellingham in the later rounds. I'm sounding a bit confident here, but I am. I'd like to see him do the same against better opposition because I feel that if you've got two holding players, certainly that's the best I've ever seen Bellingham play for England. Like I say, so I'd like to see him keep that advanced role. Whether Gareth will give him that license, I don't know, but I think it really made a difference to the front men being able to get forward.
Yeah, I'm quite intrigued by the fact that you highlighted Grealish. Have you lot seen what his celebration was about and everything with Grealish?
Yeah,
the whole thing with that kid and that.
I actually do it pretty similar, to be fair.
Would you say that Grealish in an England shirt is the closest we've seen to when Grealish was at Villa?
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
him at City.
I think. I was going to say, what do you not think?
No,
I think
because
he's better for England than he is for City.
And he's similar. I think the difference with City is you have to release the ball quicker. England are certainly slower. When you watch City, it's pass, edge of the box. I think Grealish is better when he's allowed to sort of run at people a little bit. I wouldn't say he's better. I think he plays in a very strict Pep sort of style. And I think actually that's probably unfair criticism on Jack. Yes, there's a lot of people saying that he should get more goals, but I think he's more suited to that sort of run and give and go. City's very tick attacker. And I think that's ultimately why he's not necessarily hit the heights that a 100 million player would. I think Man City bought him for that option, if I'm making sense. International's a bit slower. He seems to be able to get the ball, head up and carry it. I don't see him carry it for City. If you think about City, it's constant 2, 3, 4, 5 yard passes. So I just think he's allowed to have a little bit more freedom in terms of how he plays.
Yeah, and I think he feels confident, right? You see it, right? I think, which is interesting because you look at Foden, and I don't think he's as comfortable in an England shirt as he is in City.
And that's my opinion. And that is, again, goes back to the formation. I've said
Yeah.
it before. I think I've said it to you, Sho, haven't I?
Yeah.
My biggest criticism of Gareth is what he does to Foden in an England shirt.
Yeah.
And it's the same respect I'm saying for Jack. It probably helps him. For Foden, it doesn't, because he doesn't get that free license, especially if Bellingham's going forward. Foden sometimes will have to sort of hold his shape and position on the field a little bit more. Whereas at City, he's given a license to really sort of roam as a free man up top. So I think that's the dilemma for Gareth on who he lets go and who he gives licenses to in certain games.
You did speak about Kane as well, him dropping deeper. Not everyone likes Kane dropping deeper, but how do you describe it? He's very selfless in that aspect. He was sort of that centre foot, similar to Firmino, where he would drop a bit deeper, but he was able, maybe not as obviously flary as Firmino, but he was able to get them passes through behind. He was knocking on the ball or stuff like that. I'm not a fan of it personally. We saw it in the Euros where Kane was dropping so deep that he was pretty much a central midfielder. I'm not a fan of it. How do you two feel about him dropping deep?
I don't think he dropped his deep on Monday, though, to be fair. And
No,
actually,
he didn't.
He didn't. But it's probably the first time I appreciated that play from him. Maybe because he's Spurs and I can't get past that as an Arsenal fan. So, I'll put that down to my own.
No, I don't think that's the case. But
oh, do you not think? Okay, fine. It's
no,
not me.
whilst you're on it, I mean, there probably is a bit of that. But I think in the game against Iran, where they got I say early goal, it wasn't really early, but early goal, and that confidence was there. You could see that they were sort of going to win, in my opinion. I didn't feel worried at any point. For an England game, we could play anyone, and I'm always a bit worried, like Slovenia or anyone.
Yeah.
No disrespect to any Slovenian watchers, but what I felt is the attacking presence that Saka and
I was waiting for him to be named. Thank you.
the other? Who played the other side? Sterling. The attacking presence that we got, well, you see from the Kane cross, them two were forward. They were upon the last man. So I think the issue for me is I've got an issue when Harry Kane drops deep to get the ball and there's no one in front of him. I think that's where the problem comes. But when you see Iran, he was dropping deep. There's people going into the box.
Yeah.
That's a different mentality. And actually, when you think about that, that's got nothing to do with Harry Kane. If he can drop deep, but the players are still attacking, does that make sense, Shell?
No, it does.
Whereas before, we've seen him come back on the halfway line and everyone's still there. And it's like, I don't really want him involved in the play. Like Billy said, we need to score a goal. But there's, I think it's different. I think the way he dropped off against Iran is how I would accept as a manager for him to drop off against any team. I don't want him just playing centre mid, like Billy said.
But would you rather him be that sort of number 9 target man that we can be looking for?
Or I don't think today's game, and that's why you're seeing the breed of target men die. That's why you're seeing not many Drogbas. It's not because the talent isn't out there. It's because football takes a different approach. And you're seeing that because they're expecting more. But no longer do people want number 9s to stay up top and hold the ball. They want you to be able to hold the ball, run left, go up the wing, cross it in. So much more is expected. And I think to be competitive at a high level and win stuff, both internationally and domestically, you have to have interchangeable players up top.
Yeah. How do we feel about, obviously, Saka getting involved? I know, Michelle, you're probably going to love it. That smile's already coming out. Joe, I know you're a massive fan of Arsenal as well.
I'm trying not to be. I've tried all week.
You're a fan of Saka, though, and he came through, didn't he? Like, what a play.
Look, it's not even that I'm a big fan of him. He earns me as a fan. I've not tried to cling on to Saka. I just love them.
You have no reason to. It's fine.
I wish, you don't have to try hard to like him. You know, he, in my opinion, he's like an English Son. He's just likable. There's Chelsea fans, and Bill, you got to admit it. There is Chelsea fans, and there will be Tottenham fans that go, "Do you know what? I like him." They might not say it out loud, but I know they do.
Oh, they do. That's why people like to breeze the haters going that he won't be an Arsenal.
Yeah. That's just hating. That is positive.
Just hate him.
No. I understand Fabrice's point. I like Saka. For a player, the same sort of feeling I have towards James or Mount. That sort of young player that comes through from your academy who you absolutely adore, or
good attitude.
He an absolute gem.
Those who haven't been as consistent as Saka though, but go on. Sorry,
that was just I'm not saying how consistent that was. I'm saying
I'm just being really shady because Saka scored 2 goals.
How you feel towards Saka as someone coming through the academy? That's how I feel, especially with James. Mount's dropped off, but James for me is one of the best players at our club.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point I have with Saka is I can understand Fabrice's point with if Arsenal do not get the top 4, that they have seemed to be bottling. Obviously, they're having a completely different season this season, but I can understand Saka potentially wanting to go to the next level because he's got the ability to go to the next level. So if Arsenal don't make it to the Champions League, I can understand why other clubs could be looking at Saka as an option. That's why
we know that Klopp's been a fan of Saka for a long time, and I've said it. I was like, if we don't get top 4, he will leave. But looking at the season currently, I don't think that's a concern, is it?
Not currently.
Just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
But that's what I wanted to understand with Fabrice's point on it. That was my point.
I know Roy Keane's got an issue with people playing with a smile on their face, but I like it. Not necessarily just on their face, but the way they play. He plays like such a free player. Do you know some people they sort of get into big games or World Cups, and you can just sort of see they're a bit tense. He doesn't seem tense at all. And I know we missed the penalty, but in the final, but even the game, he didn't really seem that tense. I think he handles pressure really, really well, and I enjoy watching Saka, whoever he's playing for. And for me, I'm so glad. I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy
on that penalty. That's actually a good point, though. Sancho's not there, but it was amazing in this game. For me personally, my personal highlight was the fact that Saka scored 2. He got player of the match, man of the match. Rashford, I hate Man United, but he scored. And actually for those two to score in that, the first competitive
really
game.
Nice.
It's just such a nice, let's tie this in the bow and move on. Because I think after Saka missed that penalty, let's remember as well, he had never scored a club penalty for Arsenal, but after he was actually one of our key penalty takers, if not actually the first. I think he's on number 1
he was the penalty taker, wasn't he?
Post that Euros, actually. Before that, he wasn't. It was Aubameyang, but or even Lacazette. But I think that was such a crowning moment as well. So then obviously everyone talked about Grealish's celebration, which was brilliant. And actually, I was really glad that his next goal was actually at World Cup, which was what a stage to kind of celebrate. A fan just going, "Can you do this for me?" His sister's got cerebral palsy as well. It's quite intertwined to Jack Grealish's story.
It's nice.
It's really nice.
And
actually.
I feel like it's genuine with him as well, especially whereas
he's a good guy.
It sounds really pessimistic, but sometimes when everyone does stuff for the cameras, it sort of loses a bit of.
Yeah,
but he just seems really genuine with it, And I think
he is as a person. I think that's why people like him, right? I think there's a lot of
women.
My
wife probably likes him for other reasons, but
I was going to say there's a lot of women at the start with him during the Euros, but that's one facet. But I think
his calves. I've been doing calf workout since the Euros.
How's that going for you, Joe?
not really well, because I thought I had it down to a T, and then McDonald's and burgers and stuff like that doesn't really help them. So all the work I've put in has been undone by food.
Don't worry. Grealish will carry the mantle for you. But it was so good to see Rashford. Rashford, what was it? It's his 3rd touch he scored. It's just quite a nice little. It's a nice. I say little story. It's a big story, but it's a nice story for the game as well. It's actually celebrating all these positives in.
Well, I haven't seen one report. I mean, I haven't looked at loads of news, but I've not seen one report that does the reverse of, 2 years ago, and now look at them bouncing back like a positive, like this, really
It's
great character.
interesting, isn't it, Joe? Yeah, no
No,
surprises there.
I haven't.
Yeah, I know. Neither have I. Neither have I.
One positive sort of report that highlights, that doesn't go into a couple of years ago, but actually, if I was an editor, I'd say England show fight and bounce back, that they can believe, and just them players, just sort of a bit sort of reminiscing and touching on it, but not in.
I 1,000% agree with you.
Haven't seen one editorial page like that.
And actually, Joe, that's actually really important to highlight. And actually, thanks for mentioning it, because I think I knew, because when it happened, I was a bit like, this is such a positive story. But I knew, obviously, I work in industry, but I was like, I knew that wasn't going to be the story that they talk about. But it should be. But if you truly believe that, you're against all this the discrimination, if it's really a minority, that you should be highlighting it. But again, you know
what I'm saying? You could have highlighted it in a positive way, not sort of
exactly
come from this to this, but sort of an undertone of that's really good.
But one thing I will say, the commentators were brilliant. They were they were talking about it, and they were kind of highlighting it.
Yeah, and they weren't too over on. My concern about this World Cup was that they'd keep mentioning the issues during the game, and they didn't. Because actually, I do want to listen to the game. I don't want the whole World Cup commentary to be about how someone's LBGT hat got taken off them outside the ground. Now, I want to hear about that. So if anyone's watching, please understand what I'm saying. That is important, and I do want to discuss that, but not during the football. And it's not just because I'm saying, there's football on, I don't care about it. It's because then you defeat the whole object of being able to have a spectacle, because it's no longer a spectacle. One thing I would like to highlight as well, you know me, I like to call myself fair. If you're watching, Slabhead, good game. Good game. I thought Maguire was good.
Slabhead, he actually called him that.
Sorry.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay, it was either calling him Slabhead or actually singing the song, but that's probably wouldn't be allowed. I thought he showed, for someone that's been out and has had as much stick as him, we can all jump on the back of players that are playing well, but actually I want to jump on his back in a positive light. Actually, he is still a human being, and the amount of stick that he's got as well. I think he was outstanding considering the circumstances. And well done, Harry. I don't know if you guys agree, but I thought he had a pretty good game. He looked solid-ish. I know there's one instance that I know you're thinking about, Michelle, where he maybe could have defended slightly better, but I think overall distribution was good. He hit the bar. He was a threat.
But didn't he have concussion at that point? Wasn't there talks that he had concussion? I mean,
there was, and he went off for it as well. But I think he's had so much stick, and I'm the first one to give him stick because he's not been playing well. This is the type of mentality that English people need, because we seem to get in a habit of only praising really good, and I think Maguire deserves a lot of credit for that performance.
Yeah. Do you know? Billy doesn't.
No, that's fine. If you disagree, that's fine. But I think as people who are not in football, I couldn't even try and begin to imagine his mentality over the last 6 months.
I completely agree with the fact that we've got to highlight the fact that everyone's been hating him, saying that he doesn't deserve anything. He doesn't deserve playing time. He shouldn't be on the plane and all that stuff. And he did have a good game, but he shouldn't be there. For me, I can't stand the fact that he's even, let alone he's on the plane, he's on the pitch. That's the worst part for me. I cannot stand him. I understand it's not his choice that he's been picked for England. It's not his choice that it cost United 80 million. It's not his fault that he got given the captaincy armband. And I understand that there's a lot of circumstances and a lot of decisions that weren't his, but he's had a lot of stick for. But I just can't see past the fact that he's useless. He's had a good game. That's great. We know what he's like for England. But even before that, the last couple of games prior to the World Cup, Germany, he weren't exactly great. The watch along we did, Joe. He was
yeah,
awful.
I agree
So
with you.
it got to a point where even in an England top, he was performing bad. So I can't see past the fact that he shouldn't even be there. I understand he did have a good game, and players do have good games. And
I think for me, the problem is whether you like it or not, you're going to have to.
Yeah, who would you have taken instead, though, Bill?
Tamori.
Okay, fair.
And I would have too. I think it's no
and
different.
Who
I would
else?
have Tamori as well.
Oh, sorry.
And I would have possibly it would have been a toss up between Smalling and Dyer. I'm not.
Yes, Smalling. You agree?
Okay, fine. Yeah,
but that's tomato. They're both as bad as each other, in my opinion.
That's what I wanted to check.
But yeah. No, it's not like Smalling. We're going to win 7 World Cups in a row. It's not like that. But no, I just want to say, in terms of Harry Maguire, whether you like it or not, he's there, and if you just take how crap he's been playing out of it, what you've got to understand is he's probably going to be a massive part, maybe even play every game. He might get a rest now if we go through the group early, but and Gareth likes him because it suits his formation. We've not got anyone maybe as big as him to head the ball out, and I think it's a bit like working with someone who's not quite up to scratch. No, I'm just trying to think of an analogy. I'm not talking about any particular work or any job, but sometimes you'll work in a team and you'll have weak links. You'll have weak links in work. You'll have weak links in friendship groups, in anything. So what do? Do you say that this person's not good enough? We're freezing them out. They shouldn't even be here. There are 2 sets of people. There's one people like Billy that says, no, I much rather would say, well, how do we include this person? How do we galvanise them to get better? And I think we have to have that mentality. And I think if you don't, why have England women's won a tournament and England haven't over all these years? If you want, there's loads of reasons, but if you want my fundamental reason, it's the pressure and the mentality of English people.
Men,
yeah, I'll go with that.
I understand and actually agree that my mentality is not exactly the best. So for me, looking at Maguire and thinking he shouldn't even be there, I don't care. I completely get that we shouldn't be looking like that. But for me personally, that is how I think, and that's how I see it.
But how do you progress it? Because I agree with you, Bill, by the way. I don't think he should be there.
I give up with Southgate after the Euros. I'm not a massive supporter of this World Cup. I've been firm on this point. I am not a massive supporter of England of this World Cup. I'm more excited to look at other national teams that have more exciting players who I'm more intrigued to actually watch. I don't want Southgate in charge. I would have sacked him before the World Cup. The selections he's made for the squad, for me, I don't think have been good enough with certain players, Maguire being one of them. The style and formations we were playing to the build up to the World Cup wasn't excited and wasn't really enjoying. The results we got, the Euros, for instance, he was in my opinion, he was crucial to us losing because he chucked a bunch of youngsters in the last minute on to then take a penalty that they've never taken before. You then have to look at the fact of the World Cup where we had a pretty easy run, apart from Belgium in the group stage, which we lost to. And then the other challenge was Colombia, who I can think of, which we got down to penalties on, which, in my opinion, they played well, but it shouldn't have been that close of a game. They do have some good players, but overall, the quality of each team, we should be going.
Teams have won the World Cup scraping through. It doesn't matter how you get through. It doesn't. You wouldn't have remembered if England won that Euros on penalties, you wouldn't be talking about the kids he brought on. You wouldn't be talking about how he scraped through Colombia. You would be talking with a mindset of we got through penalties for the first time in 8 years. So that's a challenge we've done that we'd never done before. Correct me if you think I'm wrong. Or we won on penalties again. That's something we've not done before. Oh, he brought you. I think it's very easy to talk now when you know the events that have happened. I think the biggest mistake Gareth made was not having enough energy in the second half and being dead at 60th minute. So I would have sacked Southgate as well. But I think you can't knock what England men's game have done. And I honestly think what's in England's favour this year, and I don't think they'll win it, but what's in our favour is I don't see many squads that are miles better than us.
I was going to, yeah. So the squad is like that's what I was talking about the subs, because actually our bench is quite exciting. I mean, arguably like Brazil. I mean, for me, I think they're going to win it. Everyone's talking about Argentina, but I think Brazil might win it. But it's interesting when you talk about mentality, Maguire, but you often hear coaches go, experience counts for something. So obviously you talk about mentality, pressure. So actually Maguire has gone through a few tournaments. He has had that stick at Man United. He's actually captain one of the biggest clubs, arguably, not so much anymore, in football. So actually just his presence, because even it happens with Henderson, right, in Liverpool, like his legs are gone, but his experience adds something to the team, right? So do you not think that Maguire, it's not as much as like he's rubbish, what does he do? It's his experience that will add something to the team. Do you not think that's valuable?
I would take Maguire in the squad selection, but I wouldn't put him in the starting 11. When I cleared this point, my point was what I was sort of trying to make, but I didn't really get it across, was Dyer would be nowhere near. I'd have Tomori in, a young, exciting player who he's got more World Cups to come. Let's put it that way. And I'd take Maguire for the experience. Same with Henderson. Are they going to do a job? They can do, but I'm not filled with confidence by them. But the experience is there. So I completely understand that point. But I don't, just because they've played before, I don't see why they should warrant exactly.
No.
Oh, they shouldn't. They shouldn't. I agree with that.
But this has been happening in England, arguably because like David Beckham, I mean, come and shoot me if you think that. But there was times where you're just like, actually, if you looked at that, would you have taken David Beckham? But because of experience, accolade, he's a good free kick taker. Even when it was coming to the end of his career, you'll still take him. Would you not?
Yeah, I think arguably Beckham had a massive impact on that team, whereas Maguire don't have quite.
I get it.
Well, you said something that's quite key there, because all professional managers say it: experience. I think it's one of their key valuable traits that they look for, especially in tournament football.
Yeah, 100%. Because actually, to be fair, you do have the likes of like, well, Saka was 19 for the year. They're young. That's a lot of pressure, right?
That's what we're most looking at.
Yeah, you do need that balance, right? Like, because even the Brazil team, arguably, I mean, Thiago Silva has been brilliant, but my guy's 38. So like, and the thing is, they've got a whole host of, I mean, they've got 3 squads, right, across the world, but you do need that experience, that control in those pressured scenarios. He will be vital. I mean, arguably, Thiago Silva has had a great season, but really and truly, you do need that calm within a team. And that's part of the reason why, like, obviously, Hendo's gone. I mean, we didn't have any problems with our midfield in terms of the England selection. Like, we had quite a number, but you do need that balance of experience. It's so important. It's so important.
Yeah. Even to sort of when you're on the back foot, or even to be able to control a game when you're in front. It's stuff like that where maybe sometimes when you're a bit younger and you've not been involved in games like that, you can, you've not got the know-how how to see it through or hold out.
One thought though, Callum Wilson, I mean, he came on and did quite well, but are we happy with that selection? I mean, I don't really know what. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
Well, I'll tell you what.
That was so emotional. That came from the chest, Billy.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something for free. At 5-2 up, most I don't know a striker that would have squared that. But I think it's fantastic that he squared it. And I'll tell you what I was pleased with. Ian Arthur had the legs to move. He weren't a slouch, Wilson.
He was very quick to get onto that ball.
Very quick to get on that ball. So, I mean, in terms of introduction of players, it couldn't have gone any better, could it?
Well,
the people we brought on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That was brilliant. That was great substitution from him. But do you think that, I don't know, I think for me personally, Ivan, I mean, obviously, aside from his issues, Ivan Toney, I think, would have offered a bit more. Like, as the tournament goes on.
Direct. I think he'd have offered more of a direct threat. I don't think he would have offered. I don't think he would have offered more in goal scoring because I still think Wilson is a much better finisher than Toney.
Okay, fair. Yeah, fair.
But I think Toney offers more. I think Toney is extremely unlucky because you probably could have took Toney and dropped one of the so-called attackers into the midfield bracket of squad players that you bring. I think you could have potentially brought both of them and played the two up top. The fact Gareth didn't do that tells me that he is only ever going to play one. And I think what goes against Toney, in my opinion, is that Gareth's only going to play one up front. I think if he was looking for two, Toney would have gone. Where it's only one, he wants to swap out with the best finisher. That's honestly what I believe is the case. Because if you're going on form, Toney probably should have been the pick.
It's not even like I look at the two of them, and I look at Wilson and I look at Toney, and if you put Wilson in that Brentford team last season, is he keeping them up?
Yeah, he done it with Bournemouth.
What currently? The current Wilson.
Yeah, well, tell me that wasn't a mic drop moment because it ultimately was. I'm sorry.
When did he do that?
Done it on our worst side.
When did he do it though?
A couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago.
He's how old Wilson? 32.
I think he's 30. Could be wrong. But you know what I'm like with my ages? I'm going to say that he's 30, nearly 31.
You're good to your stats, man. I'm not even about to even try and go against you.
I'm going to Google it to see what I'm like. But
I think 30. Is he 31? He might be 31, but still, Joe, I'll give that to you.
I don't know how you two feel about Tammy Abraham, though. You two haven't mentioned him. Is he just not in it at all? It's either Toney or Wilson.
No, I think he's on the fringe. I think he was close. I wouldn't say he's not in it at all. I think I think he would have had to have been preferred to be the one picked out of the three, if that makes sense. Yeah, for me, I would have had Wilson and Toney over Abraham. He would have been my third.
Wilson would have been people.
Yeah, it changes with everyone I speak to.
I would have had it Toney, Abraham, and then I would have had it Wilson.
Oh, really?
I don't know what it is. I know, obviously, with Joe, he's got his thing for Eddie Howe and Newcastle anyway, so he's gonna.
No, you can't see that. He's 30, nearly 31. Yeah,
he's nearly 31, so he's 30. I thought he was older.
I surprise myself sometimes. I swear on my life.
I mean, it's impressive.
I just don't see it with Wilson compared to the other two. They're both 4 years younger. Toney's 26, 27, so he's 4 years younger.
And Toney offers you, out of all three of them, he offers you a direct route to go up top. Toney is physical. He can bang them away as well as really hold the ball up. So
yeah,
honestly, Bill, I think it's the one up front that makes him suffer. Because I don't think Gareth's looking to play that at all. He's looking to play one up front, three up top with only one. Do you get what I'm saying, Shell? There's not that. And I think if it's two strikers, I think Toney goes over Wilson.
Yeah. I think we'll disagree on that one.
No, that's not my. I suppose it is my opinion, but it's not my. You get where I'm coming from, Shell? It's not necessarily my opinion. I think Toney's been unlucky with the formation Gareth's looking to play. And I think he's just looked, right, who do I think is the best goal scorer? Because I'm playing that type of formation. And he's not going to play a two up top or a big front man. He's playing free, quick people, interchangeable. It suits Wilson.
Shell, who would you go for? Wilson or Toney?
Toney.
And
I just think because as the tournament goes on, we're going to need to dive. And actually, Joseph's already touched upon it. In terms of that hold-up play, we're going to have to diversify what we do up top. And I think Toney is and he showcased it all the way through the season. I think as the tournament goes on, we're going to need that because people are going to work you out, right? I mean, we'll get on to
I honestly don't know who I would have chose. Really? I honestly don't know. Yeah, it's close. If I was the manager, if I had no intention Yeah, I probably would have gone Wilson for a like-for-like replacement.
Hey,
But I think Tony deserved it more. I think Tony's the better player with possibly another 1 or 2 tournaments. I don't know. I could have chose Tony. It's close.
Am I missing something with Wilson? Because I just
I
don't
think you
see
are a
it.
little bit. I do think you are a little bit.
I think I need
watched
to watch more of Callum Wilson because I just don't see it.
I think a lot of people.
Tony and Abraham are just. I don't even think of Wilson like at all.
Yeah,
really?
and I think the problem there is he's had so much time out, Bill.
It's
I think
injury. I think that's what's
consistent,
phasing it for you. But
yeah,
what he did
if he had
at
played
Bournemouth,
consistent football, I think if he had played consistent football, he's a 1 in 3 man easily, and at Premiership level. So I think it's not necessarily you missing anything, and anyone else. I think most people will agree with you, Bill, that Tony should have gone. I think you'll get the minority that say Wilson, but I think if he had have been fit, you wouldn't have been missing something. We might have seen a bit more from him.
Yeah. Moving on now, I want to quickly touch upon some of the big other news that we've got going on.
No, England's the only team, man.
We will get back onto England in a minute. We got Saudi Arabia 2
yes,
and Argentina 1.
So
now,
sorry, go on. I'm
Michelle.
getting
God,
no, do you know why? Because I went to loads of events. Even Alan Shearer was like, Argentina's going to win it. And everyone was so convinced that they were. So this scoreline, literally, I was just like, see, anything can happen. Because everyone's like, it's Messi's last tournament. You know, it's written in the stars. I was like, that doesn't normally matter. But it was, I mean, I watched the game intermittently because obviously I was working it. So actually, I was working, if anyone's watching from work, working really
if your
hard.
boss is on, she wasn't.
Yeah, but we have 2 screens, isn't it? We have 2 screens. The football was on here and then, So I was working, FYI, pay me. But honestly, fair play to Saudi Arabia. Fair play to them. Because actually, I know, Joe, I want you to talk about, obviously, their kind of tactics. But, you know, they got the day off today, didn't they? Like, literally, they were gassed. I mean, it wasn't even about beating Argentina. They were like, we beat Messi. I mean, even though they don't go any far in this competition, they're going to remember that game. It was amazing. I think that's what is driven the excitement for the World Cup as well. Like these underdogs.
Our moment at the moment for the World Cup to make it feel like a World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, and I've got 2 points on this. The first one I'd like to say is Saudi Arabian fans, obviously in a sort of Arab country, I think Qatar is. They're not drinking. Do you know what's really nice? It's actually nice for me. I've had so many people in the media complain about not drinking. There are places you can drink, just not in the stadium. Do you know what? It's their country. I don't agree with all their rules, but some of them is their way of life. And their way of life is they don't have to have loads of drink to be able to have a good time. And sometimes in the West, we believe that our culture is the right culture. When we talk about alcohol, we are talking about culture. And I thought it was absolutely beautiful moment to watch people celebrate, not because they're off their trolley after 10 stellars, because their country just achieved something absolutely amazing. And if any Qatarian who have offered our channel a sponsor, but, you know, we'll see if we'll take them on board. No, but if any Arab country or, you know, anyone who just appreciates diversity is watching or watches this channel, it was lovely to see and embrace. And that's a strong point for me because that's how I feel. Now on to the football analysis. Saudi Arabia had their back 4 2-3 yards off the halfway line. So they kicked off. And I said to my mate, are they lunatics? Like, they're playing Argentina. And yes, you know, they won the Asian Cup. They are a bit better than they used to be. They've really improved Saudi Arabia. But what are they doing? And then Argentina scored, and then they had 1, 2, I think it was 3 goals. It might have been 3 goals disallowed for offside, right? Now, I didn't call Saudi Arabia a win. I don't think anyone did before this game. But at half-time, when it was 1-0 down, I turned to the same friend, because I've only got one friend, and I said to him, if I was Argentinian, I'd be sort of thinking, Christ, this game should be done now, and it's dangerous mentality. And I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Saudi Arabia, because they don't look too bad, and their tactics are very gutsy, because they haven't got to work the ball up. They're already on the halfway line. It gives them more opportunity to have possession in the other team's half. Very gutsy. I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. I mean, they won. I mean, I thought they might pitch draw it. Amazing result. And I think this is the spirit of the World Cup. And now Argentina, I think, what have they got? Mexico and Poland in the next 2 games, is it? They're not easy.
The group stage now here with Group C. Saudi Arabia top.
Who would have thought it?
You're now
bottom, but it is
Argentina
Poland.
are now looking at playing them 2 games. Them 2 games just got harder. I can tell you that for nothing. Because when you need points out of games, Christ, is it difficult. I think they'll dispatch of Mexico relatively easy. I think Poland might tip them up a little bit.
I agree.
Now, Michelle, have you got anything else to say about the Saudi Arabia-Argentina game?
No, it was just great. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And everyone that said Argentina are going to win the World Cup, change your minds now.
See, I think that's one of the things. I say Brazil's going to win the World Cup.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Spain.
The amount of class that squad has. Obviously, for years now, Brazil have had a very good squad, and they haven't been able to quite get it over the line with some of the World Cups that we have seen. But I don't know what it is about this one, but the players they've got in every position, it is mental. And I don't know what this whole Argentina winning the World Cup is. I don't think Argentina have a good squad, if I'm honest.
I think a lot of it goes off, like someone said earlier, I think a commentator said about it. Because Argentina have got an unbelievable record, before this game, they hadn't lost for 35 games. And we're not talking about playing Saudi Arabia's, who obviously, no disrespect, they beat them. But like playing Brazil's, American, big teams, they haven't lost for like 35 games. But I think the commentator said it is different when you're in a tournament. It's the same as when England have been on runs before and you think, oh, no, this is the tournament. And then they can't beat Costa Rica or... It's very different. And actually, one thing I saw in this game, Mr. Messi, retirement home, I think. I'm sorry.
I'll take it as Sunday league.
They don't have positive for England here. And I'll be saying this if I managed England. None of this written in the stars rubbish. Messi and Ronaldo do not have the powers they had. They do not. They are not as powerful.
Of course, I mean, they are older.
You run a risk, in my opinion, playing Argentina, going, oh, they've got Messi. He's not the same Messi. Yes, he's outstanding. Yes, he can have a magical moment, but he's not going to be having magical 90 minutes. He can't run for 20.
I think 20 is harsh.
Half
22 and a half. 22 and a half.
But no, I see your point, and I think that's this whole narrative behind it is this whole people want the Portugal-Argentina final, Messi beat Ronaldo in the last World Cup. And I get this narrative. It would be an absolute joy to watch. It would be an experience. But realistically, it isn't going to happen. Portugal have got a good squad, a better squad than Argentina, in my opinion. Portugal are more favoured to win the World Cup than Argentina are, in my opinion. I think overall, Messi's better than Ronaldo. That's my opinion. Everyone's different.
I agree.
But Portugal... the squad they've got with Leao, Cancelo, Ruben Dias, they've got so many quality, top quality players. Whereas Argentina, I can name a couple. You've got Messi, obviously coming to the end of it. You've got Lisandro Martinez, the Inter striker.
Yeah. Let's not lie, Martinez is their number one. I mean, I love him. I do love him. Ex-Arsenal. Gotta love him. But...
I know what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean? Did you watch, when you watched that game, you kind of thought, if actually they had
where that come from? Sorry.
But if they had
you're not good go. You're not good go, girl. Sorry. I sound like a hate fan
because you left us. But I think if they had that extra letters, as Bill said, you could name a few in positions. But if they had a better quality goalkeeper, I think that would be actually then they're...
But then if we're talking about quality, I don't think it's not just on that because...
Oh, it's not fully, but I think
when you look at England, people know about football, yeah? And if we're going to go about quality, people are going to say they got Foden, Bellingham. Like, I don't know if you watched. I think it was PSG who played City the other year. Mbappe and all that straight out to Foden at the end of the game to get like Bellingham, Foden, Kane. If we're going to talk about talent, surely we got to be up there.
No, 100. We did say that. There's no one disputing that.
No. But what I'm trying to say is, I think it's about the unity, and I think that's probably why Argentina have been good, because they've probably been able to get quite unified. But it's so difficult in tournaments.
So that is the key. I was going to say that's the Brazil. That's if Brazil get that unity, they will be unstoppable.
Yes,
that's been the problem,
but
like,
they haven't had that the past tournaments, have they? They've sort of not had that at all. They've looked very disjointed. You know, you've had Neymar sort of showing.
Yeah, but I do think actually it'll be interesting because obviously we haven't seen them play yet. But I think with them, if they gel, that is it. Generally, quote me now, that is it. Like generally, they've won it. I say that France looked quite good. I didn't actually watch the game.
I was going to say France. France do look good.
They look good. Go on. All right, Bill.
The only thing with France is they are missing two of their crucial players who won them the World Cup the first time around, which is their engine room, that electrical box, that spark that they had was Pogba and Kante. They had that partnership. They had that something special between them that was really crucial, in my opinion, was really crucial in them winning the World Cup. And with them,
I think they're better without Pogba this tournament. I think it's done them a favour. I think Kante's a miss.
Wait. I'm taking them two as a partnership.
Oh, yeah, because it allowed,
Pogba and Kante. I get what you're saying.
It's got point.
I understand.
Rabiot's not quite there, is he?
I understand, you can take Pogba out, or I understand Kante. But
but you're saying the dynamic of them.
Yeah, the dynamic between the two of them were important and were actually crucial in the France squad. So losing both of them, I'm not that fulfilled on France. They did look good. They did get a good result, but I'm just not 100% behind them, convinced as I was.
So who's your top? I know we've probably jumped, but who's your top two then?
For what?
To win or be in the final or do well?
For me, I think it's going to be this is going to...
Are we not going to cover this at the end? Oh, we're close to the end.
I feel like Bill was already on that track.
No, okay, we're close. We're close to the end, actually. Let's all pick out our two favourites, who we think will be an overachiever and an underachiever.
Right. Before we do that, I want to get onto another big result. Japan 2, Germany 1.
What a game. Did you guys watch it?
I didn't. I was
in amongst working.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was doing the same. I was doing the same from 2
Your job is to watch it. Mine isn't.
Okay, so I'm just going to say that I called this result.
Did you?
And not only did I call the result, I called exactly what would. Has anyone seen Chris Sutton's preview for this game?
No.
I feel like he was listening to me. And that was Japan's done well the last few tournaments. They are a very, very energetic, fit team that play a lot of short passes and are very, very difficult to sort of match intensity-wise. Germany not quite at it, although they've got some young players. They've had very inconsistent results over the last couple of years. This is a banana skin. And in fact, Japan are probably the one team in this tournament that I'd say are a bit banana skinny for anyone.
Yeah.
You're not going to beat them by sort of having a good shape and playing the ball. They are too erratic to allow you to do that. And actually, the Germans sort of thrive off playing sort of controlling football. So I couldn't have actually called how the game went any better, in my opinion. I think that's exactly what happened. I think Japan are erratic, fit, getting better at football as the decades go on, and fully deserved their victory.
And Michelle, what did you think of the game?
No, I thought it was brilliant. I think their fight during the game was epic. One thing I do have to say, actually, which I obviously noticed in this game and all the other games, in terms of like the added time that's added, is actually true added time. Like it's actually down to the T, which I'm like,
this is crazy though. It is crazy because you think about the amount of games that have that. There's so many games that have 10 minutes, but that is what's been lost.
Yeah.
You look at it and you're just like, that's been like, people are time wasting. It's actually like counting those minutes up, which I think actually that's been a
I
nice.
thought it was Alex Ferguson just chucking him in from the side. Well, they're giving him a job doing the board.
But yeah, no, it was brilliant to see. Like genuinely, like Japan, like that second goal, I was just like, do you know what? And I think it was one of those things. I feel like this World Cup is a bit of like everyone's cheering the underdog, and I think everyone was just really behind. Like, I mean, I say that I was in the pub watching it, but like everyone was cheering on Japan. Obviously, it might be because of the whole Germany thing, but I think they did look quite good actually. And I think we forget, as you said, Joe, we forget how like they're not bad. Like
well,
they're
half their
good.
team play in the German Bundesliga now.
Bundesliga, yeah.
So these players are no longer, part-time doing a shop. That's no disrespect to Japan. The game wasn't big in there years ago. They still had players that, run a hairdressers, and they did. And there's a lot of countries like that now, which are Japan's big, big country. A lot of, but actually football-wise, but the last few World Cups and the last couple of decades, you've seen some really good players from there.
Yeah, and
I don't know if you had the same thought as me, Shell. They're quite erratic on the pitch.
Oh, I love it.
I love it. You can't sort of control them. They call it. Oh, what's it? They've got a style. Their football isn't actually. It's called like Shashvanti styles or something like that, and that's what it's sort of based around. It's based around unsettling people's karma and not allowing. Yeah, and that bigs up Japan as a country, because Japan is all about honor and faith, and that's very much in their style of football. I'm going a bit religious here, but I just do research.
Deep,
No, it's just research, because when you watch a team play like them, it's not European football at all. It almost seems like everyone's had a Red Bull and they're just going,
just running around. But no, it was quite refreshing to see Germany, because I thought towards the end that Germany was going to pile on the pressure, which they kind of did. But I think they dealt with it. They dealt with it really well, actually. Like
they had a couple of breaks as well. They looked dangerous. It's but like you say, I called this one. I think I don't want Japan. If England go through, and I want to avoid them.
Quickly touched upon this game, Joe. You actually think this team's going to win the World Cup? Spain 7, Costa Rica 0. Earlier in the show, you did say Spain you think are going to win the World Cup. We'll get onto that.
5-0 here as well. Someone told me this would be a banana skin.
For me, I didn't see Spain winning as clear as this. I thought they were going to win, but I didn't think that they were
not 7. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I sound like a liar. I need to get my friend in here today. I said this would be a clear 5-0 win, so I weren't far off. I thought it would be quite a convincing win. I don't think Spain have got necessarily massive talented people, but I think with Spain, they've got a very good level all around, and I think they've got the added benefit of maybe not being the favourites like they have been the last few sort of tournaments. Not last one, but the few before that. I just think they're sort of in that mid-top tier level, a bit like England, but they've been there and done it. We haven't.
Well, we did, but a very long time ago. But
yeah,
I did hear a good actual question that we're going to get onto. Now we are going to be discussing our favourites and all of that stuff. Joseph comes in with a question as well. 90s/early 2000s football or nowadays football? For me, it's old school football, clear and simple. I want to watch R9 play a full game of football. That's me personally. But for me, it would be
90s.
Internationally, 90s.
I agree.
Certainly.
I agree.
If I'm going for club football, I'm going late 90s, early 2000s.
When it was that sort of three-legged race with United, Chelsea, and Arsenal, with like Arsene Wenger, Mourinho, and Ferguson, that was
good times.
That was an exciting sort of time. What I want to discuss now is who quickly we think are going to be coming out of the groups just quickly touch upon it. For me, it's going to go Netherlands, Senegal, Ecuador, and Qatar coming last. Joe, what do you think the Group A is going to finish as?
So I think Senegal and Netherlands will go through.
I agree. Even without Monet, they still look all right, don't they? And Qatar.
Yeah, I think they'll beat Ecuador and I think they'll beat Qatar. I think Senegal will have 6 points. I think Netherlands may potentially get 7 because I don't think they're brilliant, and I think they'll possibly rest players in the last game. So yeah. I can see a Netherlands and Senegal.
Group B, I think for me it's going to go England. I'm going to give it to Iran, and then I'm going to go Wales and USA last.
No, I reckon I go England, potentially USA. I just feel like they're so gassed. I feel like they're so like they're running on so much confidence. I reckon they might sneak it. Personally,
Joe, what do you think?
England.
You know, you want to say it. Say it.
England and USA.
USA.
It's either England, Iran, or England and USA. I think Wales. Wow, they have to improve massively. I thought they were dreadful the other night.
They were awful.
Actually, to be honest with you, other than Qatar, worst team I've seen over this week.
Wales.
No. I want Wales to do well. I want Wales to go through with England. It's not because the British thing. I'm a British person. I would love to see them go through. They're not going through.
agree.
Do you know what? Yeah, England. I'm going to go England, USA. Sorry.
Moving on to Group C now. Saudi Arabia, Poland, Mexico, and Argentina.
Oh,
I did not expect to see Saudi Arabia at top after the first game, I must admit. But I think it's still going to go. I think it's going to go Argentina
and
Poland.
I agree.
Then it's going to go Mexico and Saudi Arabia.
I'm going to go Poland and Argentina.
So we agree that Poland.
In the order, yeah. Actually, no, I agree with you. Sorry, in order. Sorry, my bad. I was just naming 2 teams and then 3 for. Yeah.
Apologies on the picture, but it's France, Tunisia, Denmark, and Australia. I think it's going to go France and Denmark. I think that's quite a clear one.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't need to disagree or agree, Joe.
I think Australia, and yeah, I agree.
Moving on to Group E, we have Spain, Japan, Germany, and Costa Rica. I don't know though.
Spain number 1.
Spain number 1.
Oh, go on, Japan. Go on, say it. Say it.
I'm going to back it. Japan. Germany not getting through the groups again. I think that. Yeah, I'll back that. Germany are not going through.
I'm going Spain and Germany.
Spain, Germany.
So I'm the only one that doesn't agree.
The problem, this group could be a very dodgy group because I'm trying to work it out. Japan will beat Costa Rica, probably. So that's 6 points for Japan. Then Germany, to get 6 points, would have to beat Spain and Costa Rica.
That's my point.
That is the problematic there. But here's where it gets a bit funny, guys. If Germany do beat Spain, Spain's only beat Costa Rica. Japan takes something off Spain by Spain. Yeah. Oh, Christ.
Moving on to Group F. Belgium, Croatia, Morocco, and Canada.
So Belgium just won, didn't they? Yeah, beat Canada 1-0.
Was it a late goal?
No, they scored. I think they scored in the. I don't know, actually. Early second half.
I'm going to go with exactly how this is set up, but I do think Canada will go above Morocco. I think it will be Belgium and Croatia.
Yeah, I agree.
Joe?
After what I saw today, I'm going Belgium, Morocco.
Oh, random. Okay.
You think Croatia?
I thought Morocco looked a bit tasty. The problem is, we've seen it before. You've only got 3 games.
Yeah.
If your first game is someone you're supposed. The problem you've got is everyone will potentially beat Canada.
Yeah.
But then if everyone beats them, you go against the teams around you. And Morocco's got a draw there. Did Belgium play Morocco last? Either way, I'm going for a surprise here. I'm going for Croatia to crash out and go home.
Group G: Brazil, Cameroon, Serbia, Switzerland. Now, I think this is quite a
They
close.
all drew 0-0. Look, no.
This is tasty.
Brazil, I think, are going to come first. But
Yeah.
Cameroon, Serbia, and Switzerland are all
This
quite.
is close. This is the closest out of all of them.
I'm going to back Switzerland. Personally, I think it's going to go Brazil and Switzerland.
I agree.
I'm going Serbia.
Really?
I'm going for a surprise. I'm going Brazil, Serbia.
You go down that road by yourself.
I know. I deserve to as well.
The last group.
Oh, this is tasty.
This looks great.
This is the tastiest group. Because people are going to make a mistake of South Korea underestimating them. They're similar to Japan. The Asian teams are not to be messed with. They really are not.
You're trying to say Ghana's going to come last?
Ghana's coming
last. I'm trying to say Ghana's.
All right, Bill.
No. I did say Ghana because Ghana I rate a lot. That's why I said South Korea. Don't underestimate. This could go This could go anywhere. I wouldn't like to be Portugal in this group. I've got to be honest.
You think so?
I think
It's
from the
horrible.
bottom up.
Group of deficits.
Bottom up. Okay, go on.
Bottom up is Ghana. Then it's going to go Portugal. Then it's going to go South Korea and Uruguay. I think Portugal are going to crumble in this group stage.
Do you think Uruguay's going to come first?
I think Uruguay are going to come first.
I think it's Portugal, number one. I would love to say Ghana, but let me just be sensible. I reckon it might be South Korea than Uruguay. But I'm praying actually out of this whole fixture that Ghana beat Uruguay for what they did to us in the 2010.
Yes, 100%. I am with. Yeah.
We need
when
to
Suarez handballed it.
Yeah, they need sending home. I don't like Uruguay.
Redemption is all I want.
Redemption. I want to see redemption from my Ghanaian friends.
Thank you.
I thought that was good what Suarez did.
What?
He managed. I don't care, right? He handballed it, but he got sent off for it. It's your player's fault for missing the penalty.
Yeah, but the pressure. Do you know what? If they'd won that,
you know what? It is that. Suarez is just smarmy and nasty. Anyway,
no, it's true. No, I get that bit, Bill. In the terms of the logistics of the play, of course that makes sense. But do you know how important that was? Like Ghana would be the African team to get the furthest in a World Cup. That's for me. To be robbed, I know what you're going to say. To be robbed of that by a handball by Suarez, that kills. Like, I can't tell you. I will never get over that. Like literally,
he would never be able to go to Ghana, would he?
I remember that moment because
do you reckon Suarez has ever been to Ghana since?
No.
Do you know the worst thing with Suarez? I'll tell you a little story. When he was at Ajax, my auntie used to work there. She's Ghanaian, obviously. He was apparently the nicest one out of all of them. So I'm very torn, very conflicted because apparently he's quite a nice guy.
No, your auntie's chatting. You're chatting.
But yeah, like it's heartbreaking. And I get it, Bill. I do get your point. We should have converted that penny, but that pressure flipping
Big up
out.
Auntie Shell, but can't go with your Auntie Shell.
Like, let's not distract the point that Suarez got what he deserved. He got that red card.
Yeah.
He didn't get what he deserved. In football?
What did he deserve? He handballed it off the line.
I'm joking, guys. I'm joking.
It was scummy. It wasn't sporting, was it?
It wasn't sporting
no.
for me.
And even his reactions after it was
literally
no
celebrating the sun. Like I can't even talk about it anymore.
He celebrated his team going through.
Do you know what, Bill? It's fine. Let's talk about Chelsea. How are you guys doing in the league? Yeah.
No,
I'm
guys,
it.
come on, not tonight.
You know what? I'm happy.
I've liked this show just for the pure. I've not had to drag you two apart.
I know.
Right. So, who do you think is going to win?
Brazil.
I think Brazil.
Spain. If not Spain, then Germany.
No, I want to know if I want you to hear it with chest. Say one country that you believe is going to win it.
Spain.
And we say Brazil. Who's the runners-up? Who's going to come just shy of winning the World Cup?
Germany.
I think France.
I do think France as well.
Germany.
Yeah. Oh,
The Germans.
Nah.
I think
you think Germany are going to make it to the final?
Yeah, we'll go Spain, Germany, final.
Okay. Who do you think is going to get the World Cup Golden Boot?
Mbappe.
Ooh. Do you think so?
I was going to say Benzema until he got injured.
That's a big shame, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Mbappe would be my thing. But mind you, Saka pulls out another.
I was going to say Saka. I was going to say Saka.
Mate,
Why
you
not?
can win it with 4 goals because there's a lot of teams that play like front threes now. So it's not like one player. 4 or 5 goals can win you it. So he's in with a shot. But no, I'm going to go Mbappe.
I'm going to say Saka.
I think it will be awful for the whole world. Big up my man, Oliver. But if Giroud was to win it, I just wouldn't want that. I'm sorry, Giroud.
I love Giroud.
He's got enough props now. Is he beating or he's equal to Thierry Henry's record now, right?
Oh yeah, he's brilliant.
He's going to beat it. He's going to beat it. Let him have that. Give the golden boot to someone else.
Yeah. Someone else who's deserving.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be. I want to say Neymar, but the Brazil attack, there's so many talents that's able to score goals. I don't think it will just be one significant player that will be able to like define it.
Agree.
I'm thinking.
Can I just say as well?
I'm going to say Son.
Son?
That's left, but fair.
No, that's just a
No, leave him.
statement.
No, but leave him.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with They're not going to progress through far enough to have enough games, and they've got a difficult group where if they're going to win, it's going to be by a very slender margin. There's no way it's going to be Son. If it's Son,
name me another South Korean.
If it's Son,
South Korean player.
If it's Son, I'll buy you a ticket to Stamford Bridge.
Deal.
That's brilliant.
If it's not Son,
it's Saka. I'm joking.
Nothing at the moment.
When I look at teams,
if it's not Son, you have to say Joe, you're the Don on one of our shows. Just say Joe, you're.
I'll tell you what. I will make. No, I won't make that deal.
He's not confident on his own bets, is he?
I was going to say I'd wear an Arsenal shirt, but there's so many people that can win the Golden Boot. I'm not willing to put.
No, that's a bit far.
Yeah,
but you should do that. And also, that isn't for me. That's more for Shell.
It's for me. Yeah, but it's fine.
I'd say
We're a team. We're a team.
You know, I like to mix it up a bit. Has anyone noticed there's no eggs anywhere?
Yeah, it's a shortage.
No,
Okay.
it is not a shortage. It is an argument between supermarkets and farmers.
Oh.
So it is a shortage, but it's not because there's a shortage of eggs.
They're just beef between the farmers and the supermarkets. Fair.
The supermarkets are being naughty. Supermarkets have risen their costs with inflation to, like, let's just say 30% rise, but they've not passed any rise on to the farmer.
Joe.
No.
Sorry,
Where I'm going with this is I had to find these eggs £4.
Sorry.
I normally buy 10 eggs for £1.40 in the shop.
Joe,
£4.
Can I let you in on a little secret?
Yeah.
I've got 5 chickens in my back garden. I get 5 fresh eggs every day, so I'm not interested.
He's not got no sort of.
You must be spitting feathers.
Mate, it's so good. Anyway, back to
Sorry.
So you should be. I'm completely baffled now. I've lost my brain.
Underachievers. Who do we think we're going to underachieve in the World Cup?
Portugal. I don't think they're making it out of the group.
Germany.
Portugal.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe. Finally, I get you to agree with me on something.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what we're
Who do we think is going to overachieve?
Denmark.
Japan.
I think Japan as well.
No, South Korea.
I think Japan. I reckon they're going to go. They're going to go far.
I think that. Do you get what I mean, Shell? In terms of
It was such a good game.
You can't sort of control the game against them because they're so fit and erratic. I think the way to beat Japan, if I'm honest with you, is sort of play the same back, and you've got better players, so you're just more attacking. Japan are the type of team you could just play end-to-end football, but you're confident that your quality will put more goals away, if that makes sense. So you could sort of battle them sort of 4-5-1. I think World Cup games are so cagey where no one wants to lose. You don't want to lose in a group game because then it's hard work to get out of the group. You don't want to lose in a knockout game because you're out. So it's a bit cagey, and I think Japan use that to their advantage.
We spoke about the golden boot for the World Cup. Who's going to get the golden glove or the clean sheets, if you will? I'm thinking Brazil.
Alisson.
Yeah, Brazil.
Right.
You've got the likes of Thiago Silva, Bremer from Juventus. You've got Eder Militao from Real Madrid. They've got some quality defenders. I can't see many people breaking through that.
Okay.
No, I'll go Alisson. And possibly maybe Spain. Maybe Spain. No, I don't think England will get it. Definitely not. I think England will have to score to win games. Obviously, they have to score, but I mean more than one.
Yeah.
I think they'll have to score a couple against Wales and America. I don't think we're going to be many clean sheets at all, actually. That's probably the one thing I'm a little bit concerned about.
Who do you think's going to be
golden assist man?
Sure. Playmaker for the World Cup.
Harry Kane.
Do you think so?
I think he'll get 1 or 2 goals and 4 or 5 assists. I think he'll have a... Yeah, I think he'll be the... I'm sure they do give an award for assists.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah, I think that'll be Harry Kane. I'm sure he got 2 the other night.
I think Neymar.
I'm thinking Brazil squad, but I'm thinking more midfield, like Lucas Paqueta maybe, or someone in the midfield who is able to pass to anyone up front and they'll score.
I'm just trying to think how many assists did
I'm thinking who else?
Mr. Harry Kane get?
What Spain midfield? I know they've got Pedri. Have they taken Busquets?
Asensio.
I don't know. Asensio's not bad, yeah.
I'm trying to find how many assists Harry Kane got.
I'll tell you what, whilst Joe's figuring that out, Michelle, who do you think's going to be the overachieving player in the World Cup? Who's going to have this unbelievable season from a player that we may, like someone who we didn't expect from?
Player-wise.
I think Jesus, Gabriel Jesus.
I don't know if he'll play that much, though. I think, do you know what? Giroud's up there. He's already started, I reckon. Yeah. I don't know how much I would have expected Giroud to have that. I mean, he's only played 1 game, but I think now he's got this record to break. I think we'll see. And obviously Benzema's not playing. I think he'll come into his own.
Yeah.
Personally.
Joe, who do you think is going to be the overachieving player in the World Cup?
Ooh, who's the chap? I think it will be Gakpo for the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's not a bad shout, actually.
I think he scored he had 15 goal contributions in 9 games in the Eredivisie this season when it kicked off.
He was the one that looked okay. I thought Holland looked quite average, to be honest, but he looked really tasty.
Cody Gakpo is an exciting... I think he's only 24, 25 as well. He's a young... I know Arsenal were interested in him for a little while before. But, yeah, that is the show, guys.
Yeah, Kane got 2 assists the other night. Sorry, he got 2.
So Kane got 2 assists. So you think Kane's going to be the playmaker?
Yeah, I think he's got a really good chance.
Now, guys, it's been a show that has been full of disagreements, agreements, but Hopefully you
Nothing
all
new
enjoy it.
here.
But what should we say next week? Same time again next week?
Yeah, I'll be fresh from Qatar, so I can
Yeah.
provide some.
Same for next week.
Right.
Before we all go, literally, I just want the score. That's it. England, USA, Bill. What's the
4-0.
score? Shell?
I'm going to go for 1.
USA.
I'm going to go 2-0.
Guys, it's been a great episode as always. Thank you for tuning in and take care and have a good one.